Hi there, Visionary family, and welcome back to another one with Lady Visionary. I'm really excited about this episode because we are here with a special guest. His name is Colin Keith Roach, or maybe you should have introduced yourself, but let me just speak to the audience a little bit. As you're coming in, make sure you smash on the like button. We want to make this quite an interactive one, so please do send out your questions in the comment section and we'll try our best to answer them. Yesterday, I had a live which was quite informative, quite interesting. We got a lot of engagements, and it sparked me to put on this series. And the title of this particular live is about the diaspora and lessons that can be learned. I think just getting a few people in before I start to even talk about the topic. Um, but I think both Colin and myself, we've been here for quite a while. And when I say here, we've been in Rwanda for quite a while. So I believe that we've got a bit of experience behind our belt. And I especially believe that Colin has a lot that the diaspora out there who are watching could learn from. So first of all, we're having more people get in the building and getting into the conversation. So we just want to wait for you to come in, more of the viewers to come in. And as I said, make sure you smash on the like button as you come in. So I want to give you the opportunity again to introduce yourself and let the audience know just how long you've been here in Rwanda and what you're doing.
Okay, my name is Colin Keith Roach. I'm a retired industrial engineer from Los Angeles. Before that, I was born and raised in the Caribbean. Many of you guys on YouTube know who I am. I live in Musanze, Rwanda, which is about 2.5 hours from Kigali, the capital. So I live in, let's call it the outback, for the want of a better word. I've been here since October 2019 in this lovely country, and I've learned a few things and put them to test. Some have worked, some have not. And I'd like to share those with diasporans and the people who considering coming here, because I have some friends coming in June and another party who would like to be here in August. So I have some general things I would like to share.
Yes. So as Colin said, he's been here since 2019, and funny enough, I've also been here since 2019. So how should we kick this off then?
Well, you could speak in general
Yes.
about what you do and how you advise people, how you help them.
Yes. Oh, yes. So I always mention on my channel that I do offer consultations for anyone who wants to relocate and invest in Rwanda. I think, and I've said this so many different times on my channel that, you need to first of all come to visit Rwanda. I think it's very important for you to come in and understand the environment, which I definitely believe, and Colin may agree with me as well, that it's not something that you can really get a full feel of with just coming for maybe 2 weeks or 3 months. I think you really need to spend some good time here building connections. And I used to say come for 6 months or 9 months, but now I'm saying come for a year, come for even 2 years before, no, seriously, before you make a decision about relocating, because you could come and go, have a real feel of the place, and then deciding. And what I really believe is doing your research, because I think also a lot of people, as I said in last night's live, a lot of people are sort of jumping on the bandwagon. And on my channel in particular, I have a significant amount of Black Americans that follow my channel, and they say they want to get out of the West and what is happening in America currently, and people seeing that getting worse. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, you may think you're leaving a particular situation, but it could actually be worse if you don't know what you are doing and you haven't done the planning. And one of the things that keep coming through is I get comments like, YouTubers, you guys are glamorizing Africa, you're not telling the truth, because what we're seeing as well is that people are coming to, for example, let's say Rwanda, and finding maybe some issues and say, well, okay, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go somewhere else, but they end up somewhere else, and then they find themselves, in the exact situations, if not worse. So I just want you to also comment on that. And also, before he comments on that, for those of you who don't know, I started a GLAMP site July 13th. Coming up will be 2 years since I started that GLAMP site. And so if you're coming to Rwanda and you want to support, you want a place to stay, please do also consider coming out to the northern province of Rwanda and exploring the beauty of the Twin Lakes. And I'm based on Lake Burera.
Okay, let me say this. Everyone doesn't have the capability or the options of coming here and spending 6 months and then deciding if go back and come back and so forth. Or most people, I think, won't have that option. But let me say this. In coming to Africa, who are you coming to Africa? Are you coming with a family, a wife and children, a husband and kids? Are you coming as a single person by yourself? How old you are? Are you retired? Those things are the primary pillars that go into your decision making, because certain African countries seem to be better for certain people. For instance, Rwanda works very well for me, a retired person. It doesn't seem to work that well for young families. It's very hard to make a living here working 9 to 5 for a foreigner, for an American, or someone from any other part of the diaspora. It becomes very, very difficult unless you get transferred by a company who has an establishment here and would like you to work here for them. Okay, Kenya is much better off in that regard. So is South Africa. I don't know what goes on in Ghana. I'm hearing a lot of complaints coming out of Ghana lately. So so that's the first thing you ask yourself. What is the composition of your family coming here? Are you a family of 1 or family of 2, family of 3, family of 4? Does your wife or your husband gainfully employed? Are you retired? The people who do well, who do best in Rwanda are retired people. Or like in Lady B's case, she's married to a local guy,
Yes.
and they are working together as a team. That is a different story. So your situation is how you approach in Africa is very much it's very much plays into it. The second thing you have to consider is why are you coming here? All right, why are you coming to Africa? Only you can answer that question clearly, truthfully, and directly. Why am I going to the motherland? Okay, am I going to escape something, right? And if I'm going to escape something, what do I expect to see and to experience there in return? Okay. Now, the other thing you have to understand when you come in here, leave America in America. This is not America. But people ask me all the time, what do you mean by that? I say, well, first of all, you don't get everything at your fingertips here as you do in America. Second of all, this is not an individualistic society. You get things done through relationships. You have to establish a network. If you don't do that, you're going to fail. You're going to get conned. You're going to be very, very frustrated here. We don't have these developed systems like we have in America that will protect you when you're going to buy a car, protect you when you're going to buy a house, right? And trying to buy a house without connections, without a network is foolhardy.
I just want to stop you there because I feel like you made quite a lot of valuable points, and yesterday I also talked about this. You talked about just now, you mentioned, why are you coming to Africa? Why are you coming to Rwanda, for example? That is a question that you have to ask yourself and be truthful to yourself as to why you're coming. You're not coming because you saw Lady Visionary, you saw Colin Keith Roach, and you want to try and replicate exactly what we have done, but you have to find your why. So that means when things go wrong, you can always go back to your why, and then you're not left in a situation where you're pointing blame. Oh, Colin, you told me that this and this and this, but it wasn't that same way. You've got to understand that Colin's connections may be different, his support system may be different, his finances may be different, and so on. So you can't expect that things can be exactly the same. And then another point you spoke about is connections. You have to build network, you have to build connections. And some people are coming alone, and they like being alone, which is good, but also it can also be bad because you can't be here alone. You need people to help you communicate if you don't understand the language. People who can go out on the market and negotiate for you better. You cannot do this alone. And also you said about scamming, which I've spoke about this on my channel before. The challenge is that us people coming from the West, coming from the Americas, we're viewed as being loaded. I was once told that my bank account is limitless, and my bank account is limitless, and I was just like, wow, you're speaking positivity in my life. I love that, but that is far from the truth. Like, they don't understand. And when I was like, limitless, yes, your bank account has no end. And here I was, or here I am, trying to keep afloat and run a sustainable, profitable business, having challenges there and here and there. But for them, they think, well, you're coming from Europe, surely you're coming from America, surely they don't understand that. And I would just want to hear from you. Why do you think that's? Because that's a big challenge in the way that people form relationships with us, the way that people can form false relationships with us under false pretenses, and you can actually fall into the vulnerability of thinking that person is working in your best interest, but they're working for their own interest. And so I think that's very important also, because I've been in a situation where I've been scammed, but fortunately for me, I have recovered my money, right? So I want to give you an opportunity to speak on that.
Right. Let me talk something. Let me say something. This is the hardest thing to do in Africa, network building, because you come in here and you know no one. Well, let me tell you what a friend of mine did. I can't say it's a friend of mine. I know this guy and his wife on the internet. I've never met. She's a retired nurse, okay? And what she did in selecting a country to go to, she contacted the Nursing Association Rwanda. She contacted the Nursing Association in Zambia, and I think it was some in Johannesburg or someplace. And she told them, she just wrote to the people online. She saw like the secretary or the president of a nursing association, and she said, I'm who I am. I want to retire in Africa, and this is what I did. I'm not coming to work, but I'd like to make friends, people who share my profession. She got a lot of replies. At first, she thought she was coming to Rwanda, and she said no. She ended up going to Gambia based on the connections she made there. So if you make some online connections with professional people who share your background, that is a very, very good place to start, right?
It is a good place to
Okay.
start.
So she ended up going to Zambia. Before she got to Zambia, she and her husband were hooked up with a lawyer. They were hooked up with a real estate agent, and these are all people coming out of the profession that she knows, right? So when she got there, all she had to do was to evaluate those people.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You're not starting from scratch walking the street. Use the internet, right, to find out who are the diasporans living there. Do they have an organization? If they have a WhatsApp organization, that is fine. I'm going to talk more about organizations later and how we need them and how we can use them. So a very good place to start. If you're a retired firefighter, whatever you are, ask them about who are the retired firefighters in 2 or 3 countries, and you go from there. People who have done what you have done, and that's a good conversation builder and a good place to start.
Yes, I think that's really important. And as you mentioned as well, having a lawyer. So some people may think, well, I'm really keen to relocate to Rwanda, for example, but I'm also scared because of the unknown. I don't know the processes and things like that. So what I can recommend, if you're going through any process, for example, maybe buying property, you may decide to involve a lawyer, for example, to reduce or minimize your risk. Although it may cost more, in the long run, you will save yourself a lot of heartache, pain, and money in your pocket. So, and the really important point is building connections in your background, your field of interest, that you're getting in there with the right category of people. And one thing I want to mention as well is around, we mentioned scammers, how we can avoid scammers. Because also I feel like people get really excited and they go online and they see something like land or house and they send money. We had a case in the Gambia with one YouTuber or a couple of YouTubers who did some exchange, and that went wrong. They were doing some real estate hotel project. Someone sent like $15,000, and unfortunately that didn't work out, and she's still in a legal battle trying to recover money. So I would advise that people take their time, not to do things in a haste, because doing things in a haste can lose you a lot of money. Over to you.
First thing, don't pay anybody for anything until you get here. The only thing you pay for when you get here is your plane ticket and your visa. Don't give anybody a penny to do anything until you get here. Why is that so hard for people to understand? You don't send money to get anything done. Now, when you get here and you get help to find a lawyer, and don't pick up the first lawyer that you see, get a recommendation from someone and make sure that person is tied to somebody else, because nobody wants to be made a fool of, okay? And if you get it done to another diaspora, or before you get here, you have established some type of a relationship. So you minimize your chances of getting scammed. So that's the way you have to begin to build a network and an infrastructure when to come here and to be successful. The other thing, when you come here, and you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you want to buy those things, please don't do it by yourself. Don't do it. I know we Americans like to act alone. We do. We don't want people in our business. We want to be discreet and all this other stuff. Well, it doesn't work that way.
You lose money that way.
You lose money that way. Okay? You have to work with other people. That's just how it is, right? And use your consciousness to evaluate people as you go. One thing you have to understand, when you go to buy things here, to buy land or to buy a house here, when people are not thorough, when you start asking deep penetrative questions and they start getting frustrated, you walk away. You walk away, because what you scratch the surface here and you'll find out if someone is trying to scam you, right? And we don't have the systems to fall back on here to protect you, but which is why you need an attorney, because the attorneys here know how to do all of those things, who were born and raised here, know to do all of those things. Now, people in African countries are very welcoming. It's not like back home, somebody would just don't talk to you if they don't know you, and so forth and so on. People here are very welcoming. That's why I say you have to leave those American habits in America. For God's sake, don't bring those habits with you. All right?
I think that's one of the things that diasporans who have come here, and maybe we can also bring proof to that coming to Africa, to Rwanda, sometimes we have some expectations because of what we're used to in the West, what we're used to for example, in the UK, what you're used to in America. But there has to be that mindset shift, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle, because they're like, oh, but in America this, in the UK that, but we have a different system here. And for the most part, the continent is developing. Rwanda is a developing country that has made tremendous progress over the years. But it's also, I look at Rwanda a little bit, not just like as a blank canvas, but there's so much opportunity in terms of, depending on the way you look at it. You can come here and be highly frustrated and be like, you know what, I'm out. Or you can come here and say, well, there's a problem, but I see a solution. And I think if more of us come with that mindset, that's how we're going to build more successful businesses that are based upon solutions. That's how we're able to target the high level of unemployment amongst young people on the continent. and also here in Rwanda. There are obviously government strategies, but also the diaspora coming in. What can we do? And you mentioned critical points that you need to ask yourself. One, you need to understand or ask yourself as well, is now the right time for me to move? Because what may be right for Colin, what may be right for me, or the right time may not be the right time for someone else. So they have to be honest with themselves. And do I have enough money to move now? Because people are coming and they're finding that, oh, actually, Africa or Rwanda is not as cheap as I thought it would be, and are running out of money. And that's going to be one of the reasons why they end up leaving and going back to America and feeling sort of depressed because they run out of America because maybe they're running from challenges or problems and wanting to be in a better environment, a fresh start, but actually found that they've run out of money. And I've spoken to people who've run out of money and had to go back to America and start from scratch.
Let me say something about this going back stuff. Going back is failure. Okay? You can't blame it on the place or anybody else. You have to blame it on you. Going back is a failure. If I go back to America tomorrow, it means I have failed, right? I mean, so if you want to fail or do you want to succeed? If you want to succeed, you have to play by the rules that are written for this place, in this place, by those who run this place. It's as simple as that, okay? I mean, do you want to come to Africa and go back home to white supremacy? Do you want to do that? I don't think so. All right. And in order not to do that, you have to work hard up front and do the upfront planning to make sure you make the right decision on the country that suits you and know a lot of what is going on in there, in that particular country before you leave. You're not going to know everything, but you're going to know a lot of things. And you have a network of 5 or 6 good people around you who will gladly help you. All right. Now, let me talk about when you get here. Let me give you some don'ts. Do not walk into a coffee shop and make friends. Do not go into anybody's restaurant and buy a meat and think of listen to any investment pitches from some scam artist who looks nice in $1,000 suit. Okay, I don't care what he offers you or she offers you. Okay, you don't pick up good deals in restaurants here. You don't pick up good deals on the streets. Okay, it doesn't happen. Okay, you'll find out how things go as you move along. And be patient. Be very, very patient and very methodical in your approach to things, right? Be very patient and be very methodical. I have seen people who come here and jump and bought a house. And they say, oh my God, if I waited 6 months more, I'd have gotten a better house at a cheaper price. Far better, far cheaper,
And sorry.
Yeah, so until you know the lay of the land, don't pull the trigger and start making mistakes. The other thing that you need to do, you carefully evaluate your financial situation. Yes. Do you have a check coming from the United States in the form of a pension? That is your lifeblood, plus your savings that you brought here with you. So you have to be very careful on what you do. The other thing, if you have to get an apartment here, please find an apartment in a decent neighborhood. You're going to meet very, very different people from an apartment in a small area that could charge you almost nothing for it. You might get your pockets, your dress, your glasses, and all your money stolen from before you leave there. Get an apartment in a decent neighborhood. All right? If you come into Rwanda, contact Lady Visionary, contact me, and I will guide you as to what neighborhoods you could stay in Kigali. All right? One of the other things you need to do is to get around the country, because based on your mentality and who you are, you may decide, I don't want to live in Kigali, or I don't want to live in Lusaka, Gambia. I want to live in the outskirts. So you have to know something about the country, right? Go into the countryside, talk to the villagers and so forth. Get acclimated to the lay of the land, okay? All right. Failure here is very, very, very easy to happen.
Yeah, I think failure on the continent is it's easy, but also I feel also success is, like we talk about. Here we're talking about the do's and don'ts, lessons you can learn. And I know people, although we'll give them advice, do's and don'ts, they'll still go online and send thousands of dollars to someone without knowing them, having no connections to them, all because, and why do you think people are, I mean, you may say, oh, people are just stupid, but, you know, in a more articulate way, why do you think people are making these mistakes where they're losing thousands of dollars?
Desperation.
Yeah.
Desperation and want to resolve a complex matter very, very quickly.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Desperation.
But as you said earlier, patience is key, because also you said, you gave an example that you've known people who have rushed in and bought property, and you know, they wished, or they've said, if I had waited a couple of months later, I could have got a better house and for a cheaper price, right?
A lot better and a lot cheaper.
And a lot cheaper. So, you know, the advice is coming from us.
And here, let me give advice of the heart, okay? Let me give advice of the heart.
Yes, go ahead.
Let me give advice of the heart.
Go ahead.
Because I've been burned with this, okay?
Oh, wow. I don't know what he's going to say, by the way, guys.
Let me give advice of the heart.
Before he says anything, guys, make sure you support this live chat. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Please, 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 in the comment section, you can ask questions. We're here for you. So if you have questions, here's the opportunity. You have 2 diasporans on your screen who have been here since 2019. I first visited in, although I first visited in 2014, and I kept coming to Rwanda. Also, you can support this live with a super chat. So go ahead.
Okay, matters of the heart.
Matters of the heart.
Listen to me very carefully, brothers and sisters. Don't turn over your money to anybody that you fall in love with. Okay? Do not give loans to anybody that you fall in love with. Okay, please, men and women, advice for both of you, okay? Okay? Right. I know the heart is weak.
You need to expand on that. You need to expand on that. You need to expand on that, because I feel like I've seen situations, I'm seeing situations where the diaspora, both men and women, are fallen victim of that.
Of course, and of course.
African people are not stupid.
The shysters are here to take you
out.
Oh, look, let me tell you something. Okay, the slick girls in Kigali are no less sophisticated than the slick girls in Los Angeles or Miami. Please. Okay, you're not dealing with dumb people in Africa.
You are not dealing with dumb people in Africa.
You're not dealing with dumb people, okay? Please don't turn your money over to people who tell you that they love you and want an affair with you. Don't do it. As tempting as it is, don't do it.
It is tempting.
It's tempting.
The flesh can be weak.
But your heart have to be strong.
Yes.
Okay? That's a big piece of advice I have for anybody.
In Rwanda, we say, Komera, be strong. Because listen, the ladies and the men will have you weak at the knee. Right? So you've got to tread carefully, otherwise you're gonna land on your face.
I'm telling you, and you will be swept aside.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to come here being really focused.
Right.
You can develop relationships, but be patient. It takes time.
Right.
Right. And I think with time, everything everything exposes itself.
Of course. Right? Every day changes.
Every day changes.
The other thing you do again, when you decide you want to go to the country you want to go to, join a WhatsApp group, a Diaspora WhatsApp group in that country. Kenya is famous for that. In Nairobi, Kenya, there are about, 3, 4, 5 Diaspora WhatsApp groups. Join them all. They're free. Join them all. Okay? And talk to fellow diasporans there. And start to listen to the people who learn from the mistakes, who are doing well, and so forth and so on. Try to talk to people who've been living there 5 years or longer. All right? Try to make friends with those kinds of people. And once you do all those different things, you will find yourself on firm ground.
So something I wanted to say, I know we touched upon a couple of points, and I do hope people have their pen and notebook, because you really should be taking notes. You shouldn't be missing any point, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of points you spoke about, but that are quite useful. However, I want to specifically look at a particular question. And my question is, when you're also deciding on which country you want to be, where you want to be in terms of country, whether it be Rwanda or elsewhere, and thinking about how you're going to sustain yourself, because not everybody has a retirement pension. You have retired people like yourself. You say that do well here, but also myself as a married person who is married to a Rwandan, a local Rwandan. It's also different. So, and in comparison to even a single person. So, if people are thinking about doing a business, what would your priority in terms of advice be for them?
Well, if you're going to do any kind of business, you have to do something that you're very, very comfortable with. Okay, you have to see, do I have a market here for what I want to do, whatever country you're in, right? Who am I trusting to be in partnership with, and on and on. Those are the questions, and you don't get those things resolved in a month or two. You do not get those questions resolved in a month or two. All right, it takes time to do that. Meanwhile, you have to sustain yourself. So if you don't have a pension, you're living off of what you brought. And you have to be very, very careful with it. So that's why you have to plan your trip here very carefully, depending on how old you are, the age you are, and so forth. So those are the things that need to be in place in your heart, in your mind, and on paper too. You have to put those things down in writing.
Yeah, so I would say a business plan.
A business plan. And you have a simple business plan will do. You call it a business plan, whatever you want to call it. Okay.
One thing I wanted to expand on is what you said about who will you be having to support your business? Obviously, we know that you have the Rwanda Development Board. So if you wanted to gain more information and clarification, you can go to them directly, email them. When you're on ground as well, you can go into their offices. You can get all the information at one point. And, going back, who will you have to support you on ground when you're doing your business? That's critical, right? Because that can be either a make or break for your business. And one of the challenges that I know a lot of diasporans here, and I need to talk about this, is gaining a lot of diasporans have is getting the right skill set. Takes time. Getting people with honesty and integrity takes time. And even Rwanda themselves are outsourcing some skills because of the lack of capacity here, which they are having some systems in place to change that over the coming years. But you may find that there's people who don't have the particular skills that you need, and you're having to be behind them, training them up to the level that you need them to be, and that can be exhausting. So do you have the patience? Do you have the time? And these are all things that people don't see. People think, oh, you're going to Africa, labor is cheap, but the capacity, you need people with the right skill set that can be beneficial for your business.
The other thing, if you want to come here and work remotely, okay, wherever you're going has to have high-speed internet capacity, reliable 24 hours, 24/7, right? The other thing you need to be in touch with is the local people here who work remotely. I have friends here who work remotely, Rwandan friends. So if you come to Kigali, I can introduce you to them. Those techie guys, I know quite a few of them in Kigali. Okay, so like I said, make like minds with people of your profession. You can't come here and run solo, guys. It's not going to work. All right. The other thing I'm saying, if you want to go to a country and they have no diaspora and WhatsApp group, think twice about that country. Okay, unless you have a strong network among the local people. All right. Okay, because that is how you build yourself up. That is how you build yourself up. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to do, especially if you're not living, well, yeah, I could say that, especially if you're not living in the capital city, you have to ingratiate, is that the right word? Ingratiate, yeah, yourself into the community that you're in, right? I have done that here in Musanze. Just about everybody knows me. Who needs to know me knows me, right? And you have to work hand in hand with the local people here. They have to know you, they have to like you, they have to respect you. It is the simple way that it works here. You're not going to get along with everybody, but you have to get along with the people that you come in contact with. And they have to think that they're getting something from you. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
Okay? I had two guys in my house here this morning from WhatsApp, which is the water company. There's some issues in the village with the water, right? And I explained Airbnb. I explained my Airbnb to them. They never knew what Airbnb was. And they didn't want to leave my house. They were glad to sit here with me and learn something, have my phone number. And they felt elevated because of that. Are they going to do Airbnb? I don't think so. But they saw something that they did not know of before. Okay? What they really saw when they break it down is how transparency and accountability works. Airbnb is based on transparency and accountability. The host and client review each other, right? And that is something that isn't always there in their day-to-day experience yet. So when I show them the power of Airbnb, how it could be worldwide because of the transparency, because of the accountability. One of the guys was a manager, he shook his head and he said, doggone it. He said, boy, Americans are online. What he was saying is that you guys are championing something and I learned something from you. Okay?
Yes.
I give away water in my community here. Okay? It's a little more than my water bill, so what? I give away water to the local guys here.
But it makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference in people's lives, right? So everybody know me as the American, right? And they talk to me and wave to me when I drive by and so forth. So this American individualistic attitude, we talk in America about rugged individualism. Excuse the expression, it's bullshit. It don't work here, okay? Sorry, but
so we've spoken a lot, and I think there's a lot that can be taken away from this conversation.
I have one thing more to say.
Yes,
right.
Go ahead.
Now, I want to talk to the people in Gambia, the diasporans in Gambia, how pitiful you all are. 5 women got killed, American ladies disappeared from the face of the earth, got unalived, as they so-called in Gambia. I have been trying very hard to get the politicians in Washington involved, to no avail yet. And I recognize something that a friend of mine told me. You have to have an organization when you want the American government to respond. Now, the Black Caucus simply said to me, if you have, not to me, to somebody who I know, and they told me, if the people in Gambia had an organization, okay, they could make a request to the Black Congressional Committee in Washington to do something. Now, and it's very easy. The Black Congressional Committee is pretty powerful. What they would do is to go to the Congress. All these aid bills to these countries get sponsored on all the time. And all they would have to do is to tie what happened in Gambia to that aid bill. Okay, and it will get stalled. And Gambia will not get the money. And once they don't get the money, then they will start investigating. They will start acting. Let me get, and they draw an example for me. Brazil. Okay, there's a guy, and this is a single guy in Los Angeles. He was married to a Brazilian lady. When I say single, by himself. And the wife took the child and ran to Brazil. Okay, they even changed the name of the son. I mean, totally trying to wipe out his past. And he tried to get the Brazilian government. Nobody's doing anything about it. He got a senator in New Jersey who tied something to the bill, to a trade bill. And all of a sudden, the Brazilian Supreme Court got involved. The guy got back his son, and there you go. We can use the power of the American government, but we have to approach it as an organization. We don't have to come in the diaspora and live by ourselves. And when these local governments know that you are, I don't want to say this, okay? Yes. You are attached to the American government, they will respect you more. All right? So people in Zambia, Gambia, okay? Start an organization. Stop this each man for himself, God help us all. It's not working, it's nonsense. It doesn't work. If you want direction how to do it, there's an organization of Black Americans in Ghana that has been active for a very long time, right? And if they're not doing it, they should do it. They should get in touch with the Congressional Black Committee in Washington and get them to act on their behalf to do things. Stevie Wonder is now a citizen of Ghana. All right?
Oh, yes.
That is clout right there. That is, everybody knows who Stevie Wonder is. All right? He could help with a whole lot of things. We don't have to be here and not be, we're still Americans. We're attached to the American government. All right? I know people,
ways to leverage that.
That's right. But you have to do it through an organization. So if we get the Congressional Committee involved, they're pretty powerful in Washington. There are about 40 or 50 of them, I think. right? Maxine Waters and all those wonderful people. They have a Facebook page. So if you approach them as an organization, they will bring this matter up on the floor of the Congress. And once you start doing that, somebody in a committee will attach a rider on a bill and say, okay, and all of a sudden, money talk, baby. people not start getting the aid money or whatever that they used to get. Things happen.
Things change.
All right.
And I was following the different stories and the cases of the death of those women. Very unfortunate. May their soul rest in peace. But also, I feel like definitely there's something we can learn from that as well. And
exactly.
Really, I'm not saying they weren't, but just being more of a solid diaspora community. And we spoke about the importance of networking, and that's why we're doing things like this, so that people who are thinking about coming, they can sit and watch videos like this that are very informative, not necessarily just showing you the glitz and the glam of Africa, but really sitting down and talking about these difficult topics, the nitty gritty, the thing that really matters. Because once you get that under your belt, all the glitz and glam, that's an added bonus, right? So I just want to come back a little bit. So for me, and we both know that there's a large diaspora community in Kigali. There's just me and you, and there's another person that I met from the diaspora. So in Musanze. So there's less than 5 of us who have decided to relocate to Musanze. A lot of the diasporans have chosen to settle in Kigali for various reasons, but also what I'm seeing coming out from the diaspora is how they thought that the cost of living would be less, but it's more than they thought. And that's one of the reasons why also some diasporans are choosing to return back to America, because they're finding themselves struggling because of the cost of living. And I always say to people on my channel, well, consider another area in Rwanda. Musanze is the second city. You've been here for a while in Musanze. How can you address that point, and what advice can you give to those who are listening out there?
Okay, let me say this. If you're gonna live in any of these out cities, it's better if you're retired. It gives you the time to, if you want to do anything, any extracurricular activities, do other things, then just sit around and do nothing. So then you need a dependable car, right? You need a dependable car. Now the question is, do you want to bring a car from America? I'll advise against that.
No,
the taxes are way
I would advise against that. I lost a lot of money in the end.
Don't bring your car here.
You just buy one.
Okay, then there are very good used cars available here for sale. I have a good used car that I drive, and it takes me anywhere I want to go, right? So you need a good used car, and you need a decent place to live wherever you are, right? You're not going to live in a very poor village. Nobody's going to do that. But there are decent places in most of the towns around here where you can live. Now, let me say something here that shouldn't be, well, I don't know if it shouldn't be spoken on. If you are a single female, life in Africa is a bit more challenging than if you're a single male. If you're a woman operating without a husband, without a brother, without a boyfriend or something, all by yourself, trying to build a house, you can run into even trouble, right? If you're in a Muslim country, the further away you go from the capital is the more conservative those places are. So what got the British black lady in trouble? She was trying to operate an hour and a half or 2 hours from the capital city, building a house by herself. Now, in the old model, living in the ancient world, and I'm using this, I'm not saying this in a derogatory sense, I'm saying this just is what it is. We in the West have a new model, and in the ancient world, from Africa and all the countries, they have the old model. And there's value in each of those models. Now, the woman in the old model, she is a ward of her family, mother, father, whatever that family composition is, until she gets married, then she becomes a ward of her husband. Okay? Women are not independent in those traditional Muslim countries. Call it whatever you like, but that is the truth. And I am saying it's nothing wrong with this. That is how they want to live. If you come there as a single lady, all right, and you're doing just the opposite, you're not doing anything illegal, but you're doing all those things that women are not supposed to do on their own. They think that you're contaminating their society and they don't want it around. That is the cold hard truth. So ladies, single ladies, take that into consideration when you come into Africa. Are you moving to a Muslim country or are you moving to a country that's predominantly Christian? If you don't have a husband, it's a hard way to go.
But it doesn't mean, I want to go back on that point where these people can break your heart, because you mentioned that, because some women or men could come, or let's just give the example of a woman. She could come thinking, well, I need to get a boyfriend as soon as I get to Africa then, because I would feel more secure. But that is even dangerous.
That is dangerous too, because the attitudes towards women here are very different. Okay, when you are, if you're a single woman, I'm not a single woman, I'm a man. But if you are, my advice when a single woman coming here, get involved in a network very quickly, a network of women, okay, particularly married women, and be around those people, and you're going to meet people that way through those people. Okay, don't try to operate on your own the first day you land here. Don't do that. Okay, because this is Africa, it's not America. Okay, you are on the continent of Africa, and it's different in different places. So, ladies, just keep that in mind. And please don't give these gigolo guys your money. Don't give these brothers here your money, especially if it's a beach community. We don't have beach communities in Rwanda, but in Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya don't have beaches. South Africa, keep your money in your pocket. Don't buy these gigolos. Program financing these gigolos, okay?
Yes, because we won't go into that, but we've really we really said a lot on that, but it's a very important point.
Of course,
because
it's a real point.
Yeah, it's a real point.
People don't want to mention it.
Matters of the heart. It's a real point because
okay.
You have to be in touch with your emotions, and I just want to mention this, and because I think it's so important. You have to be in touch with your emotions.
Of course.
Because I think obviously a lot of us coming, we have baggages, we have stress, we have things, but also understanding that you can't escape, for example, America or Europe and think, well, all my problems are going to be, all of that takes time. If you need time to heal, you need time to heal. But sometimes people will attach themselves to things and become even more vulnerable, right? And that can be detrimental to the whole move. So I just was thinking, do you have any questions for me?
No,
does anyone out there have any questions for us?
If you want to contact me, find me Colin Homestead as my Airbnb and shoot me questions, and talk to me. I don't charge anything. I don't consult you. So I tell people things free of charge. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But
you can give as much information. That's how we are.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, we're going to make our own decision, whether it's good or bad, and we have to. These are lessons that we've learned and we're sharing so that they don't fall into. But maybe their experience will also add to the conversation.
I want to say one more thing before we sign off.
Yes.
A lot of questions. I get questions all the time. How do I get my money transferred?
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
From the United States, but that's most people contact the United States, from the United States to whatever country I'm in Africa. Brothers and sisters, it's very simple. Make sure you have a direct deposit in a bank, a leading bank in America, okay? That does transfers to banks in the country you're going to. Ask your bank manager or any manager in the bank, any banker. For instance, if you want to come to Rwanda, do you transfer money to Rwanda? The answer will be yes. And they'll show you a list of banks that they transfer to. You sign up with them to transfer money once a month from there to the bank here. And when you come here, you open up a checking account.
Yes, you have that.
Then your bank back home will automatically transfer your money from here to there. And there's a fee for that. Be mindful of this. There are a lot of, I don't know what to call them, financial corporations or companies who transfer money. And they do it very cheaply. But many times people get disappointed. It takes the money 2 and 3 weeks to get here. Right? If you do it with a leading bank, in the United States and a leading bank in the country you're going to, it takes 24 hours.
Yes.
And it never fails. Okay? Simple.
Can be that quick. It wasn't like that before, but now things are getting really efficient.
Exactly. I'll give you some simple advice there. You want to take it, you take it. You don't want it, you leave it. Okay? But I'm not going to loan any more money to people who run out of money. Okay? I'm out of that business.
So there you have it. You know, these are this is a session where we're giving information, free information, that's valuable, that's critical, that it's going to be make or break, right? And then on top of that, you have to do your own work.
Absolutely.
You have to do your own work, because there's some people who just sit on the internet and think that's it.
No, it doesn't work.
It does not work like that. You have to do your in-depth research and use information like this to help you to make an informed decision. So I'm not seeing any questions. I'm seeing some people in the building. I want to say thank you so much. I saw Andy in the building. He was saying that he will have apartments available in the next coming months. Lady J's Black-Eyed View. Good morning from Orlando, Florida. You will never get it back. I think when you were talking about the money, if you know, you attach yourself to, you know, one of these people and loan the money, you will never get it back. Yeah, it does. When you're giving someone money, and even if they say like I'm borrowing this money, you will never see that money back.
Please.
Yeah, you'll never see that money back. Trust me, from people who have done it, right? From people who have done it, like just don't go there. Okay. You have Medjay in the building. You have Medjay in the building, and he said, I'm driving, one love. Be safe. So thank you ever so much.
And share this video, okay? Yes. Share it.
Yes, I think it's so critical. So we've got HDK in the building. We spoke yesterday evening in the live there, and good information. Bogosera in the house. So we have a diaspora here who has relocated to Rwanda and is in Bogosera. And on that, we also want to highlight again that the new airport will be ready in 2028. And a few years ago, I did an interview with African Tigress, who's from Kenya. And, you know, I was telling the diaspora to get in there, getting there. If you want to invest, get into Bogosera, you know, purchase land, because you're not going to regret. Because the good thing about when you put your money into land, into property, it always appreciates. So, but obviously, again, we spoke about this. If you want to know more about how you go about, you know, things like purchasing land, we did mention some key points as well. You have DN Heat in the building. Hey, Lady Visionary. Hello. How are you doing? So we're going to close now. We didn't have any questions. I'm hoping that you all were very attentive and that we haven't missed anything, but we gave you an opportunity to ask questions. You can reach out to myself and Colin. Colin has an Airbnb right here in Musanze. I have a glamp site, a hotel just outside of Musanze, Lake Burera, absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. I do also offer consultations for anyone who may be looking to invest or relocate to Rwanda. That's where I do the one-to-one video call. You have your in-depth questions, and we walk you through, because everybody's situation is different. So we can set up a video call and go through that, and you can have ongoing support. So thank you ever so much. I don't know if Colin has any final words.
I'm done.
Yeah, so thank you ever so much, and we'll see you again
later
in the next one.
Peace out.
Take care. Bye bye, guys. Bye.